Board of Supervisors of the County of Trinity, recognizing the week of July 20th through July 26th, 2025, as Probation Services Week. Whereas probation professionally plays a unique and essential role in California criminal and juvenile justice systems, keeping communication safer by providing justice-involved individuals with accountability, support, services, and tools necessary to safely and successfully reenter society. Whereas, through transformative, evidence-based, and court-ordered rehabilitation programming, probation holds individuals accountable while also helping them permanently transition out of the justice system into a healthier, more productive life path. Whereas, probation department serves as a key connector with the justice system and local communities, maximizing the resources available through courts, local governments, law enforcement, social services, behavioral health providers, schools, crime survivor organizations, and nonprofit agencies. Whereas probation professionals balance the need for accountability with the opportunity for individuals to engage in treatment, rehabilitation, providing the structure and support necessary to change lives and reduce future crime. Whereas probation officers receive extensive training, 350 hours within their first 2 years of service and at least 40 hours annually thereafter, excuse me, in areas including strength-based supervision approaches, legal updates, and enforcement techniques. Whereas probation provides a cost-effective, evidence-based public safety strategy, effectively supervising individuals while they are connecting them to critical services such as workplace development, substance use treatment, mental health, and other education. Whereas probation delivers a multifaceted public safety model that combines supervision, accountability, and access to transformative rehabilitation services, offering a safe and effective alternative to incarceration. Whereas we hereby recognize and recommend the critical role of California's probation professionals and celebrities. Probation Services Week, this duly in honor of their ongoing dedication to justice, rehabilitation, and community service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Trinity recognize and commend the critical role of California's probation professionals and celebrities. Probation Services Week this July in honor of their ongoing dedication to justice, rehabilitation, and community safety. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Gogan, members of the board. My name is Thomas Bradford, Deputy Chief of Probation. Chief Fiore could not be here at this moment. She asked me to speak on her behalf, and she provided a statement that she would like me to read. Let's see. She likes to convey to the board her appreciation to the probation department staff. This year, 3 probation officers retired or moved on to other opportunities. The remaining 7 officers and 2 staff maintain a high level of service to the court, continue to provide both accountability and supportive opportunities to the people in the community we supervise, all while working through significant system and financial challenges. The Trinity County probation team always works together and gets the job done and done well. She's grateful for their professionalism and their dedication.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to just say a couple words if I could. I think that generally the public is likely largely unaware of the breadth of the services provided through probation. The one that is obvious that comes to mind is certainly what happens with folks and the care and the oversight that is needed. But there are so many more pieces. I couldn't begin to delve into them myself, but I do have that overall arching, encompassing picture in my head that you do far more than meets the eye.
Thank you.
That is greatly needed and without which we would not function as we do. And so to you and to our chief. I just want to say a heartfelt thank you for your hard work and dedication.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I will say, I don't have others to compare it to, but I do have a lot of professionalism and leadership experience to compare it to that I've seen across the corporate America. And I just am really appreciative of how professionally you guys lead this team and the dedication you have to the people that you serve, because you've seen you go way beyond the basics that are required. And I really appreciate that as well. Thank you. Motion to approve this resolution?
Second.
Agreed. Photos?
We have to vote first.
Supervisor Call? Aye. Supervisor Lewiler?
Aye.
Supervisor Brown?
Aye.
Supervisor Carpenter?
Whoop.
Supervisor Gordon?
Aye.
Chair, can you ask for public comment as well?
Do you have any comment in the room? On Zoom?
I show no raised hands.
Right, we will now move on to B, public comment. This time is for information from the public on matters not appearing on the agenda or within the consent calendar. All comments are limited to 3 minutes and must pertain to matters within the jurisdiction of this board. While addressing the board, please state your name for the record and address the board as a whole through the chair. No action or decision or discussion will be conducted on matters not listed on the agenda. However, the chair may refer the subject matter to the appropriate departments for follow-up or schedule the matter on a subsequent board agenda. Do we have any public comment in the room?
Terrence Mines, Junction City.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, great. Unfortunately, last meeting, I guess, a bunch of testimony came from some previous employees about some things that I'd already discussed that were not happening correctly in this county. Corruption, spending our equity, cannabis equity money improperly. No license fee study still. That's actually against the rules. Okay, you can't charge us anymore. It's going to cost the county millions of dollars and having to give us back our money. You're improperly charging all of us for our licenses. That's a fact. I know this because I have licenses in other counties and I know how they've addressed it. You guys owe us money. You've taken $1,000 from each one of us for licensing since the inception of trying to do the general plan, but all I understand is that you're actually doing things against us cannabis people, like all the opt-out zones. So you've taken our money with which was a deal made with intention to help serve us and used it completely against us. You will be receiving a letter from my attorney this week. He's drawing it up because I think the county has no more choice at this point but to have to come correct and do things ethically and honestly. I brought about some changes that need to be made that would help the county financially, but obviously it's falling on deaf ears. You guys don't listen, don't care, and think money just grows on trees outside. We have to increase the revenue here in this county every year annually so we can actually support the police department correctly, support the animal shelter correctly, and also handle the library. These are actually simple tasks that every other county and city in America does, but somehow we're failing to achieve here. I know that we're having a few supervisors not run for reelection, which is absolutely great news. Another one should leave also as soon as she can, because we need ethical behavior here. And we need an investigation from an outside agency. Obviously, Trent didn't handle the investigation into Jill and Jim Underwood and that whole scandal previously correctly. So I think we need to get an independent investigation from an outside source that actually is ethical and not unethical like our CAO here. I know Ed resigned because he ran from the problem. I think everybody's going to run from this one, but I would like to see an investigation. I would like to see some accountability on all this unethical behavior. So could you please, Liam, call in an investigation from an outside agency? I would suggest the FBI, just because I think it is that large. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more in the room? How are you, bud?
Oh, pretty good, thank you. My name is John Comerzi. I was here about a month ago. Don't know if you remember me or not, because I came up with a couple of questions. One of the questions I had is, what are you gonna do when ICE shows up? Or the National Guard shows up, or the Marines show up to do ICE duties? And you said you couldn't answer my questions. I have another question. What are you gonna do now that ICE is here? Last Thursday morning, I was coming into Weaverville from Douglas City, and there's a white Suburban, unmarked, cameras on all four corners, 3 guys out with federal agent on their back, automatic weapons, and 1 guy in the back taking a pee. So I guess they were guarding him. Again, what guidance do we have? Probation guy. What happens when?
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Yes. Okay. We have a probation officer here, I guess the deputy. What happens when somebody with federal agent sticker on their back, no badge, and a weapon shows up at his office demanding all the probation records? That's it. Have a good day.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments in the room?
John Hodges from Weaverville,
Good morning.
or as Mr. Lutweiler calls me, self-centered. Appreciate that. So with this tourism business district that Mr. Lutweiler has made reference to, that if we don't pass this thing, that I'm gonna be the cause of all these small businesses going under. He's trying to push this thing off as a T-bid, as a tourist-based as a district for the motels. When if all you have to do is read the document, it is a tourism business district, whereas in the document itself, it clearly states that the money must be spent on park benches, roads, dilapidated buildings, things like that. So I'm not really sure where he's coming from when I come to these meetings and I try to ask him, why are you trying to push this thing off as a tourism business district, whereas the amounts of money aren't being spent on advertising Trinity County? He doesn't have a single person on the board to create this district, where it clearly states by the California State Highways Act that you have to have the motel owners, the lodging industry represented and creating this T-bid, or what, he just keeps changing the acronym when in fact it's not meant for tourism. It's not meant, and like he said, when he gets that TOT tax raised, his plan is not to have any of it go to advertising tourism. That was quite the statement. And it's reverberating through the lodging industry. Everybody's they contact me because of different things. I got 56 seconds. And at these meetings, he says that he wants me to engage with the board, when in fact, just like that timer right there, I have 3 minutes, and I have the video where he says, we may or may not answer your question. I had some simple questions. When does the Civitas time run out and it starts costing the county another $6,000? I asked him, why didn't you contact a single lodging owner when you were forming this board? And why do you think that just regular business people can be on the board once it's formed? I know nobody's going to answer me or even look at me. That's what you guys do. You guys spent $30,000 without even contacting a single lodging owner to see if we were interested. And to be honest with you, we would be, but not with Rick Lutweiler. I'm going to vote for.
Thank
no
you. Thank you
confidence.
very
I
much,
get-
John.
I understand, Lynn. Thank you.
If you want to read the public comment bylaws, we're not allowed to answer any questions you
No, I
ask.
get you, but at least make eye contact with me.
But at least
Somebody say, you know what, we were gonna look into
all right, your
this.
time's up.
I got you. You engage.
Your time's
with
up.
him. I
Your
understand.
time's up. Go sit down. Time's up. Any other?
Good morning,
Good morning.
Chair, Supervisors, Lisa Wright, Lewiston. So I studied government a good bit of my life and my education. And what comes to mind often, especially with local government, is of the people, by the people, for the people. The famous Abraham Lincoln Gettysburg Address quote. So, we look at that, how is that functionally deployed? Well, we have the people, right? They hire the elected representatives who then determine policy, and the CAO and staff work to execute that policy. I think unfortunately that the county has moved more towards autocracy in recent months, and nothing personal, Trent, but there have been, I believe, policy matters that have been assumed by the CAO role rather than being brought to the board for input from the people and board members. There's been a resistance to public comment at times and actually lashing out at public commenters. That's been very concerning as well. There have been situations where it truly does impact our community. We're seeing government burgeoning in health and human services, huge budgets, salaries across all departments at the division and director levels that are very large, given what's actually being served. Yet our community development services are minimized, including cannabis. We had someone in a deputy director position rather than a department level director, comparable with the other departments, given that same status. We wouldn't have a burgeoning health and human services organization if we didn't have the need. The reason we have the need is because there's not opportunity for people. And some of that has been stopped, I believe, by policy decisions being made at the CAO level rather than coming to the board. We need a fully functional community development services. It's critical at this time. We've invested millions of dollars in the general plan fund, most of it coming through farmer fees. And it's really time, that the board and the public be given their right due in terms of a functional government, not top heavy, that speaks for the people. So back to of the people, by the people, for the people. That's what our local government should be thinking about and focusing on and embracing for the good of the people, not for individuals and higher salaries and for the pure just burgeoning of and the growth of a bureaucracy. We don't want that. Nobody here wants that. So please keep that in mind as you move forward. Take back your power. CAO works for you. You work for the people. That's what we're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment in the room? On Zoom?
Adrian Keys.
Thank you, Chair, Supervisors.
Adrian, can you pause for a minute while
Second,
we turn
Adrian.
up volume? Okay.
Go ahead, Adrian, give it a shot.
Is that better?
Yep, gotcha.
All right. Thanks, Chair, Supervisors, and staff. I would like to ask that the supervisors request that the planning commission take a slightly different angle on the issue that has been heard at the last two planning commission meetings around the ambiguity of the opt-out ordinances. And I'll also note that after two meetings, two rather expensive meetings, zero progress has been made. We're exactly right back to where we began. I think that the reason that is because you can't build a structure, a square structure, a stable structure on a flimsy foundation. And the opt-out, particularly the opt-outs that were created in the urgency ordinance and then moved into a permanent ordinance without any further revision, that we're not going to be able to fix them in a piecemeal fashion. I think it's essential at this point that the planning commission review the single finding that is in the ordinance, which is that they're trying to prevent cultivation from being too near high population density areas in the North Lake, which in itself would be hard to prove, but even more difficult in the context of the specific projects that have been referenced repeatedly in those hearings. The planning commissioner from District 1, Carol Fall, actually noted that this contentious project that is in application, apparently, is miles and miles into the middle of nowhere. Those are her words. That's a quote from a planning commission meeting. The single finding for the justification for these opt-outs is to avoid cannabis cultivation in close proximity to population density or population centers. So I think if we want to fix this problem and if we don't want to keep reiterating it, that we have to look at the baseline foundation of this particular set of opt-outs. I was also under the impression that we were going to be addressing these like more in a wholesale fashion during the ordinance updates, but this was brought forward, so we're kind of compelled to have this conversation now. So please, I would request that the supervisors ask staff and the planning commission to readdress the mapping specifically and the parcels that are incorporated into those maps and therefore excluded from licensure or, stuck behind all these prescriptive regulations or whatever you'd want to call them that are preventing their ability to move forward and using the findings that exist, remap it. And that also of those urgency ordinance opt-outs are several. The North County ones seem to be the ones that have drawn the most attention lately. But if we want to fix these problems, if we want a regulatory system that works, we have to have a foundation that is structurally integral, and this is not. And we're going to keep having these problems. And as was cited earlier, sounds like you're going to be receiving the notice of another lawsuit. That's unfortunate. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on Zoom?
I show no other raised hands.
Okay, we will move on to the consent calendar. No, excuse me. Reports and announcements. Any department heads? CEO Tuthill.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to reference and make it known that a number of department heads did submit reports to the board, and those department reports are reflected on the county website underneath those specific departments, to include our Health and Human Services agency. And I would encourage folks to look through that extensive report and get a better understanding of what they provide for the betterment of the entire county. For your information, I just want to make it clear that SRS was taken out of the Big Beautiful Bill. So our SRS potential funding was taken out of the Big Beautiful Bill. But with that, there's still the HR Bill 1383, which is continuing through the federal process and is being advocated for different organizations. I'm still in coordination with Jamie Green, and I'm grateful for all his efforts to support SRS. And we are hopeful that we will still receive some SRS funding from the federal fiscal year 2024, but that is looking less and less likely as the congressional cycle continues on to the end of the federal fiscal year, which is 30 September. But no, we are still tracking it and still hopeful that something will happen in a positive direction for us for those funding. For your information, with the retirement, not the resignation, but the retirement of Ed Presley as of last Thursday, July 10th, who was our Community Development Department Deputy Director and Planning Director, I've appointed Drew Plabani as the Interim Planning Director effective July 10th. I made the same announcement at the Planning Commission meeting on July 10th. I will take on some of the Community Development Department Head responsibilities as we work through the transition. And also for your information, budget department hearings will start July 28th and we'll run that entire week. Invitations have already gone out to potentially attend these to all the supervisors, and we appreciate the participation of 2 supervisors at a time throughout the different department level hearings, which is all the Brown Act allows. And then for the full budget hearings, those are scheduled for to start on September 23rd and run as long as we need to run those. And that's all I've got for now.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. Trent, I'm sorry, would you clarify what was the title for Drew? Interim?
Interim Planning Director.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had that right. Thank you.
Okay. Board of Supervisors.
There you go.
Oh, Heidi.
Okay, since the last meeting in Nortec, which is our regional workforce development organization, we hosted 4 interviews for the executive director role to replace the retiring executive director. We have some strong candidates that we're going into second interviews with this week. Hope to have that wrapped up here soon. We are working on an economic impact study. Alec Domka, who has presented to this group before doing cooperative extension work, is working with some key stakeholders regarding a study focused on mountain biking related tourism. So with mountain biking and our trails, what is the impact across the economy of Trinity County for that, and what could it be based on potential enhancements? From a Fair Board standpoint, I joined CAA Tuttle for a meeting with Fair Board representatives, and we were discussing ways to optimize available funds and resources. Like other parts of our county, they are struggling financially and trying to maintain large grounds and move things forward. And so we're trying to find ways that we can help with that, and I'm sure that will be on our subject list here soon, and of course in the budget discussions. But we did talk about some things that could potentially help in that situation. On the California Jobs First side, I participated in an outdoor recreation and tourism cohort meeting. So this is a group of people that comes together regularly. They were awarded funding through the California Jobs First, specifically about outdoor recreation and tourism. And so in this case, there were a couple of groups talking about ways that they have been working towards recreation-based tourism in their arenas. And on the Tourism Business Investment District, I will be launching a website later this week to share information regarding our efforts to introduce a T-bid in Trinity County. I think I mentioned in the last meeting I was just going to add a page to my website, but there's so much content that I decided to just launch a whole new website. So I've got that just about ready, but we'll get that launched, and it'll just be a place where people can go and get all the documents, frequently asked questions and answers, examples, testimonials from people that support the initiative, ways that the funds could be used, all those sorts of things. That's it.
Thank you. I will report out now on the couple things. TMC meeting was held last month in July or late June. And I was not able to attend. Heidi did attend, so I'm gonna just give you a brief rundown of some of the things that were brought up there at the TMC meeting that are important to Trinity County. The first thing is, we have about almost $68 million to refurbish the hatchery, which really needs it. It's, the same age as me, and that's getting old. So that's on schedule. It didn't get taken away by the federal government. We still have that money, and I think we're still moving forward. Completion of that is going to be about 2030, so 5 years from now, with updates along the way. I think it's a great thing for Trinity County. We certainly need it. I was at the emergency services meeting a few days back, and a couple of things that they mentioned there is they went through the active shooter exercise at the high school. Everybody seemed to do well. Again, keep in mind it's coming, so it's a little bit easier to prepare for. But I do think it's great for us to have a baseline on where we go, what we do, who do we report to, and have some key people on the campus ready for that incident. Hope it never happens. Trinity Ready is up and running. So anybody wants to do that, Code Red is down, and Ready Trinity is up and running. So no more Code Red. Ready Trinity is up and ready to go. Also wanted to mention that Jeff England brought out 2 big cargo containers, one to Sawyer, one to High filled with everything you could imagine to keep people alive for probably several weeks. Everything in there, he couldn't even mention them all, so I won't either. But his reasoning was those 2 areas of Trinity County get cut off by wildfire and no one can get in, no one can get out. At least you have a week or 2 of MRIs, water, N95 masks to keep you going, which is great work by Jeff and Connor Nixon. And just a couple side things. I'm glad that we all made it through the storm 2 weeks ago today. That was a big storm, and I give PUD a lot of credit for getting the power up as quick as they can. I thought it'd be a lot longer, but they did a great job. That is my report out.
So I'm next. Fire chief's meeting was last night. The information shared there and the actions that were taken were all in-house items. Golden State Connect Authority staff has provided an update regarding the CPUC federal fund account. You've heard of that as the FFA, last mile grant application. The applications for Trinity County and 3 other member counties were submitted the morning of Tuesday, April 29th. There was a problem with the portal technologically. Following the submission and the successful upload, the CPUC decided to extend the application period to June 14th. So that process was moved back by 6 weeks, but it is still an ongoing effort and in process. Second. Here we go. RCRC is announcing the 9th annual Rural County Photo Contest, and that is now open for submissions. It would be a delight to see someone from Trinity County submit some photos. We have such beautiful landscape, and from my perspective, as I sit in the meetings with 39 other member counties, and we look at and vote on the winning photo that will go on all kinds of brochures and information out to all of our member counties. It would be really fun to see Trinity as a winner. So if you yourself are a photo enthusiast or know someone who is, please reach out for details as to how to submit for that process. It is again time to put together the basket for the RCRC annual auction. And I just would reference to you, when we did this last year, we put together a basket which brought in a combined total of $3,000, and which was large, and it was a delight to watch people bid against each other in that room wanting the Trinity basket. And so the individual who was the winner of that is just now scheduling her summer activities that were contained inside that with her lodging. And so we see, and she's bringing friends with her, and this was exactly what we were hoping would happen. So as we look to this year's basket, if there are those that would like to participate in that, it is a wonderful way to reach a real target audience with the joys of visiting Trinity County. That, for today, is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Brownfield.
Hello, and thank you. I attended the Post Mountain Public Utility District meeting, which was a really wonderful, productive meeting with Brian McFadden from the watershed and Flora, and a number of people really working hard to get the PUD up and running and the roads fixed and travelable. So I appreciate all the work that these combined organizations are doing to help Post Mountain get their feet under them. And I look forward to seeing what they can accomplish. Attended the fair, which is always a wonderful thing and close to my heart with the ranching and the livestock and the young teenagers working so hard. So I want to thank all of those young kids and everyone who bought the livestock. It's always a wonderful part of Trinity County to go to the fair. I also want to thank the volunteer fire departments in Xenia, Kettenpom, Mad River, Cal Fire for fighting the fire we had over in Alder Point Bridge. They put it out really quickly, and it was a wonderful group effort to do that. I was amazed at how fast they did that. And so thank you guys for all your hard work and dedication and time. So that's the end of my report. No out of county. And,
Thank you. And C4 reports from ad hocs. I don't think we have any at this point. We just, last meeting, decided that we did not need the homeless encampment ad hoc anymore. We'd written the ordinance and are down that path already. So we have at this time no ad hocs. So we will move into the consent calendar. These items include routine, non-controversial matters and will be acted upon by the board by one roll call motion. If a member of the public has any questions or comments on an item on the consent calendar, they may provide them now. A member of the board or staff may request an item to be pulled and considered separately. Any comments in the room?
I show no raised hands on Zoom.
Okay. Does anybody would like to pull an item?
I make a motion. Oh,
Sure.
sorry.
Chair, if I could just make a admin comment. So on item D12, I just want to clarify that the hazardous mitigation plan that is listed in the board report has Mike Catoni's name listed on there, as that plan was approved by Cal OES in 2024 when Mike was still an active employee. If the board adopts this item and approves this item today, we'll work with Cal OES to make sure the proper points of contact are in the document as it gets officially adopted in our safety element. Thank you.
Thank you.
I move to approve all consent calendar items as presented with the admin note from CEO Tuttle.
I will second.
Supervisor Gogan,
Aye.
Supervisor Lutwiler,
Aye.
Supervisor Cox,
Aye.
Supervisor Brownfield.
Aye.
Okay, we will go. Anybody need a break? We're all good. Public hearing, E1, community development, planning. Conduct a public hearing and adopt the general plan, housing element, and CEQA exemption. There you are.
Morning, Chair,
Good morning.
Supervisors, Trupavani, interim planning director at the moment. We should have Ryan Lester from Mentor Harnish online, and he has a presentation for you all going over the adoption of the housing element. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm just going to share my screen. I have a presentation here. Let's see. Okay, can you see the presentation there?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. So again, my name is Ryan Lester with Mentor Harnish. I'm the consultant team lead for the housing element. Thank you for having me today to talk about the project and next steps. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We'll do a quick project update. It's been a few months since we met. I'll talk about the 2 iterations of the draft that have come since that last meeting, and then we'll wrap up by talking about next steps. If there's anyone in the room that hasn't been part of the housing element update process, there's a key term here, HCD. You'll hear us say this often. This is the California Department of Housing and Community Development. They are, just as a reminder, they are the state department that gets to review the housing element and comment on it, and all of their comments have to be addressed in the housing element before it's deemed compliant. So with that, I'll just run through a quick project update where we're at, where we've been. So in November, we released the public review draft housing element. And then on March 4th, we had a study session with the Planning Commission and Board to review that draft, as well as to talk about input we had heard from the community, and then input we had heard, a preliminary input from the state, from HCD. We then, after that meeting, revised the draft housing element and created the HCD review draft, and we submitted that to HCD for the first formal review. As a reminder, the state gets a minimum of 2 formal reviews, and so that was the process of starting the first one. The first review is actually a 90-day review. They get 90 days to review it, and so that's what we expected. What we found was that through discussions with HCD, we were able to get some early comments from them. So we actually received preliminary comments from them again on April 14th. We then met with them to discuss those comments and then revise the draft, which we made public before resubmitting it to HCD within that 90-day formal period for continued consideration. And then on May 13th, we actually got a formal letter. This is just 2 months into the 90-day period, that HCD was done reviewing our draft and that they found that it, as drafted and revised, it complies with state law, which is awesome. We got that letter and we scheduled these hearings. As part of the final document process, we did clear up a few minor edits. These were at the request of Supervisor Cox. These were just grammatical and data accuracy edits, so nothing substantial that would affect our HCD review. So with that, I'll talk about a few of the additions to the draft in those iterations so you have a better understanding of the revisions that were made. So the HCD review draft, again, it responded to public input, those early HCD comments, and then comments we heard at the study session. All of those revisions are shown in track changes. We do this so that HCD and the public can review the document more quickly and that they can see the changes that we've made at each step, which we want to be super transparent about. And then we also included an appendix, Appendix D, that documents all the public comments and then how we responded to them, as well as there's a comment matrix available on our website, on the Trinity County 2050 website, that shows all of HCD comments and then how we responded. So that draft, again, was the first formal submission. Some of the changes that went into this, we had to add some programs based on HCD comments. So we added this first program, Housing Element Implementation. We talked about this at the study session previously, but this is a program that says, hey, you know, any city or county can't really implement all of the things the state is asking for. So throughout the planning period, we're going to engage HCD to see if they can assist us either financially or through technical assistance with implementing our element. That's something we worked out with HCD, and they're very cool with. They're actually really supportive of. Permit Streamlining Act, we had to add a program for that just to change the zoning code language just to make sure we comply with the Permit Streamlining Act. Equitable broadband access, we added a program to address broadband access in areas of the county. And just as a little bit of information on our approach, with these new programs, what we tried to do was connect them to the other general plan elements and say, hey, what are we doing in economic development on this topic already? Let's not redo it. Let's add a housing lens to that in some way, or state how we're going to meet the requirements of housing element law in implementing that program, just to make sure we're not duplicating efforts or being inefficient with funds. Address fire risks, so same thing. We included a program to create a comprehensive action plan in coordination with programs. There were programs in several elements, obviously, that address fire risks. A few more additional ones. So HCD wanted us to address the high cost of insurance in whatever ways we can. That was a big public comment that we heard. So we included a program to work to increase insurance access and affordability by promoting things like defensible space, fuel management, and having some actions that address those things. Energy conservation, this is just a requirement. The state wants to see a program that works to help reduce residential energy use. And then finally, the last two programs are pretty lengthy. The first is place-based strategies for community investment. This is where the state says, hey, in this housing element cycle with the recent state legislation, it's not enough to plan countywide. We want you to start planning some improvements to specific areas and target some areas that really could use some assistance. So that's that program. Again, we tried to connect that to what we're doing elsewhere in the general plan update. And then redevelopment. This is something we heard through public comments enough that HCD wanted to see a program supporting and encouraging redevelopment of underutilized, specifically commercial sites. We also revised a few programs. So program 4 related to water and sewer service capacity. We actually revised this to lower the county commitments. They were pretty high, and we worked that out with HCD to be able to provide more realistic goals for that program. Housing rehabilitation, we provided some additional engagement actions that HCD was looking for. Anti-displacement program, we connected this to displacement due to fire risk or fire. And then in several programs, we had to add multilingual access. So the state really wanted to see engagement in Hmong specifically. So that was the first formal submission to HCD. We did, as I mentioned before, get a few comments back on that that we were able to address within the formal review period. They were really, really minor. The only substantial edit that came out of that iteration was to include within this program 31, support for small home-based businesses. HCD they were looking for that specifically. So in that draft, we also assigned a priority level to each of our programs. This is something I talked with HCD about specifically, just knowing how hard it will be to implement all of the state's requirements. We were able to prioritize them in order to say, hey, we're going to start with these ones and we'll move down the line. That helps HCD to be able to review your progress. And they signed off on the prioritization. So the goal here is that they won't be hounding us over the lower priority ones if we're taking care of all our higher priority ones first. The revisions that came in that iteration are in track changes, but also in yellow highlighting, so you can see those. And then we posted HCD comments and our revisions on the project website. So with those final revisions, HCD found that as drafted and revised, the housing element meets the requirements of state law and had no other comments. This means that if we adopt the housing element, if the county adopts the housing element without making substantial changes, so without revising major revisions to programs or to housing sites, they can't really open it up for comment again. We did make some minor edits, as I mentioned before, but these are non-substantial and would not affect our review. So with that, where we're at, you can see because we got a clean letter with no additional comments, we get to skip a round of review. HCD really asks that you go through another formal review before you adopt, just to make sure that it's all clean and clear. We get to skip that, so we save a minimum of 60 days. So we're just looking to complete the public adoption hearings, and then we'll submit the adopted housing element with the resolution to HCD for final review. Technically, they get 60 days. I would not be surprised if they got back to us in a couple weeks, just because they've already approved our document. They just have to make sure that it's the same document that we submitted previously. So staff recommendation is that we adopt the housing element and the associated CEQA exemption. I'm here, of course, to take your comments and questions and discuss the housing element as you like. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you very much.
I do have a question.
We need to go public session.
No, questions first, so we're good. Hi, Ryan. Thank you for being here to present. You actually commented on something that I was going to ask about, so I'll just ask my question a little differently. I was wondering how we were going to prioritize all of these deliverables, because as your documents note, we're carrying forward a bunch of deliverables from 5 years ago and adding to that. And so you said that we prioritize and HCD signed off. I missed that in reviewing the document. Did you?
Okay.
You
Yeah,
point out where those in the document, all those priorities are set?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great question. So we added it under each program, each implementation program. It lists the responsible department, potential funding sources, and then we added one that says priority. And so each program is given a priority. And
Okay.
yeah. And that was first my take based on what I've seen HCD go after jurisdictions about. So I applied those, and HCD actually agreed with our conclusions there.
So I would just request at some point that we have some like table summary of that because, to read through it was a lot to read through and there's a lot of great information, but you'd have to read through 500 words to find out what was the priority of this one versus here's the 12 or 25 or whatever it is things, number 1, number 2, number 3. I'm assuming that streamlining was the highest priority because that is a must do, whereas a lot of the other ones will try to kind of language. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So the zoning code issues for compliance with state law is high priority as well. And then, engaging HCD to actually work towards implementing and seeking their help is the highest priority one as well. So yeah, we did those required ones. We definitely marked those as highest. Those are the ones that the state lawyers are coming after jurisdictions for. So we could definitely set you up with a table that orders those by priority. That's kind of how we structured it with staff.
Thank you. That's it for me.
Yeah, I'm good till the end. Yeah. Good till the end. Oh, well, I was saving it for the end and it's fine to do it now. I was going to see if we could potentially, and maybe this is already in the plan, but have direction to staff to where once this table is provided to us, that we see on an ongoing basis just how we're doing, so that it will quickly become not top of mind for me. But I think that having it brought back to us for a report out, even perhaps quarterly, would be appreciated. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Reasonable.
Yeah, we can look at a reoccurring mechanism and the proper timing and frequency of that.
Okay.
based upon some of the programs, quarterly may be a little much. It just depends upon the program.
Certainly.
There's obviously an annual update we got to do to HCD,
Yeah.
and the board would be involved and aware of that. We can look to do something, in addition to that, though.
Actually, that's probably sufficient when I think of the scope and the timing. Yeah.
Right. And then, the other general plan items that are ongoing that are definitely interrelated to the housing element.
I understood and
So
appreciated.
which the
Yes.
housing element is one of the elements of the general plan. So, until we get to that final general plan adoption, there's some specific housing element items that we'll have to update HCD on, but then that'll roll into the larger general plan efforts. So, we'll take that into consideration though and talk that through with Metro Harnish.
Just one question, if I may. So is now a time to ask and make sure that one of the land use designations includes a certain element in it? So for instance, resource is one of the designations, and we want to make sure that homes can be built on that designation. Could I clarify that now? Could I ask to?
Are you talking more of the land
Right,
use
the land
zoning
use, and
question
now-
versus
is
the
now not
housing
defined.
element?
Right, well, yeah, well, we want to make, I'm kind of tying it to a housing element because it is actually one of the things that might not be able to be done in a certain designation. And we just wanted to see if it isn't in there to be able to do something, can we add that in there to do something?
Yeah, I would say that would be an issue that would be addressed in the general plan land use element update. If
Right.
it was identified as a constraint as part of our analysis, then we'd have to deal with it now. But we'd also have to deal with it in the way that the state wants us to deal with it. So I would highly recommend that be addressed through the general plan land use element update.
Great, thank you.
Comment?
Public comment in the room? Go right ahead.
This is actually a public hearing, so you'd want to open the public hearing and ask for,
One more time.
this is a public hearing, so you would need to open the public hearing and then ask for people to speak in favor and those opposed in that context. So you need to open the public hearing.
We're open. Any in the room?
We're going to open the public hearing, needs to go on the record for this.
Okay.
So you need to say that.
Do you want me to clarify that so it goes on the record?
Yeah, you need to say that we're opening the public hearing at a certain time. And then when public comments done, you can close.
We're open for public comments, so this will be taken down on the record.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Lisa Wright,
welcome.
Lewiston. Good morning again, Supervisors. This kind of dovetails from my open public comment a bit, and that is, of course, housing is so important, but we need to not only have this high level goals and I guess, policies that we want to try to implement, but we also need to have a practical plan for implementation. And it's unclear to me where this is going to be housed. I assume that the execution is going to be housed in the community development services because that does encompass building permits and other permits and such. So how is that then laid out in terms of executing, and how is that execution to be funded? It's a very sparse department. I work with it daily because of the cannabis division, but also in other areas that many people come in and have need for use permits, or whether they're conditional or director's use, but there's not staff. There's not staff to process it. People have been in the queue for CUPs, some for, over 5 years. So it's very important as part of this overall vision that we also see how is it going to be executed and funded. We need more than one planner, 2 planners. We need a staff of planners. We need a department level person, a director that's in charge of executing across all these divisions. So I'm hopeful that as part of this upcoming budgetary process, that will be taken into consideration, given strong weight as a very integral part of any success we might have, because plans are all good until they just get put on the shelf, right? So we need to know how we actually implement, and we need your leadership to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go right ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Board. Tommy Lore from Post Mountain. And I can see that this is a great idea. Tiny home in the Post Mountain would be a perfect fit. Because every parcel, it's about an acre, acre and a half. And I'm in the process of working, trying to get some of these septic, sewers going. And so once we have that, then I think that tiny house would be an excellent idea to present it to the community so that they have a home that, and they feel good about it, and they're not just having a raw land, but they have a house to go to. And that's an excellent idea. And that will reduce a lot of the trash in the Post Mountain area too. Because if you have a home, you feel like, I gotta clean my house, keep it neat, clean and neat. But if you just live on the raw land, with a couple tent, there's a lot of trash up in there. So it's a good idea. The key element to this is how we're gonna get there is, are there gonna be any kind of funding to help out? Maybe loan that people can take and then build the house and then keep, the property so they can pay the county. It's a win situation. They pay property taxes and pay the whatever loan on the tiny home. So if there's a way that they can do that, that would be fantastic. I know that it's in work in progress, and I want to see that. And maybe when I read the program, it says that you will have Hmong and Spanish language, which is an excellent idea. There's a lot of the Hmong community doesn't speak English, so it would be fabulous if they can have that both in Spanish and Hmong. And I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Any other public comment in the room? On Zoom?
I show no raised hands.
So now you'd close the public hearing and bring it back up to the board for consideration.
We will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board.
Well, I make a motion to, help us here, County Council. We adopt a motion to adopt as presented?
You would adopt the general plan housing element and CEQA exemption.
It's right in the,
That's
it's right in the
part-
language there.
Oh, right.
Mhm.
Housing element, the general plan housing element. Okay, so I move to approve this item as presented.
I'll second.
And just under comment, I think coming back to our brief discussion, I shouldn't have started under questions, was about having kind of the prioritized list and then the follow-up. And it occurred to me that, we should be, I think, trying to integrate as much of these kinds of things into the strategic plan as possible so that we don't have multiple things that we're tracking. So within, somewhere in the community development organization, they would have progress on the housing element deliverables as part of their strategic plan deliverables. And then when you're presenting updates, you could be saying they're on track, they're falling behind, they're whatever, versus having a whole separate thing. That's just my view of trying to make it a little bit more streamlined for everybody to stay focused.
Yeah, I agree. The other advantage to that would be you can only do so much.
Yeah.
And so if this is there, then we don't see, oh, it looks all blank. We could ask them to do 4 other things. But this is obviously critical. Yeah, and two, the concerns that were made about staffing there, just to assure that, at least from my perspective on the board, those conversations are happening. And the realization of the importance of that is certainly there.
Sorry.
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Leutwiler?
Aye.
Supervisor Brownfield?
Aye.
Supervisor Gogan?
Aye. I will now comment out on our last board meetings, closed session. We had no closed session last meeting. Going into F, closed session for this meeting, Government Code Section 54954 5E, Public Employee Evaluation County Council.
Public comment?
Do we have any public comment in the room? Or-
Lisa Wright Lewiston, Chair Supervisors. Once again, I will ask that the public be provided with the format and the criteria that's being used in these performance evaluations. I asked for that for the CAO. I asked for that as well for County Council, not for how those resulted, but for the format and the standards and the goals and such and how you're judging their performance. I think that's important to share with the public. So I would ask for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
I show no raised hands.
We will be adjourned at 10:10. This has got to be a record. Thank you.
Okay.
We're done.
Oh.